So I'm traveling around the world right now. I've covered about 20 countries in the past 8 months. And this right here is everything that I've got with me. In this video, I'm gonna run you through everything that's in my backpack. You can find links to everything in the description below. And if you wanna see more videos like this, then hit that subscribe button. So first off, on the question of should you bring a backpack or should you bring a suitcase? My personal point of view is if you are physically able to carry a backpack and if you're not traveling super luxuriously where you're taking planes everywhere, taking taxis to the hotel, staying in fancy hotels, then you should opt for a backpack because you will be walking through streets like this eventually, and a backpack just gives you a lot more flexibility. Okay, first off, let's talk about the backpack. I should say that I consider myself a minimalist. I try to travel very light. I travel mostly in urban environments. I usually sleep in an actual bed under a roof. If you're gonna go camping every day, you're gonna need a bigger backpack. This backpack has a 42-liter capacity for the big one, and then the day pack is 13 liters, so 55 liters in total. I got this one because it was recommended by the Wirecutter. In fact, a lot of the stuff in here was recommended by the Wirecutter. I'm a huge fan of their site. I'll put a link to their travel guide in the description below. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect backpack out there. I think when you're getting a backpack, you should pay attention to basically 3 things. Number 1, it needs to feel great on your back. You need to be able to carry it when it's fully loaded, so make sure to try that out before you commit to one. Number 2, it should either come with a detachable day pack like this that you can take off, or you should be able to combine it with a separate day pack, because when we're in transit, I actually usually carry these separately. I put this in the luggage compartment of the bus, or I check it if it's a flight, and I put all my valuables, my electronics in the day pack, and I keep that on me. And then the third thing is that you want to make sure your backpack opens all the way like this. Some older backpacks only open at the top, and that means that every time you want to get to something, you have to dump the whole backpack. So make sure it opens all the way like this. Okay, now let's take a look at what's inside. And let's start with clothes. I spent a lot of time thinking about the perfect shoes for the trip before I started traveling, and in the end I ended up taking the shoes that I had been wearing day to day before I even started the trip. Whatever shoes you're wearing in normal life are probably fine during the trip as well, as long as they're comfortable. I'm carrying 1 pair of flip-flops. These are super important for hostel showers and really hot days and the beach. And speaking of the beach, 1 pair of swimming shorts or a swimsuit. I've got about a week's worth of regular socks, and then I've got these darn tough hiking socks. These aren't cheap, but they're amazing. They're made from merino wool. I've worn them trekking through the Himalayas for 2 weeks, didn't get a single blister. They're also just really nice to wear on cold days. They're really high quality. And then in terms of underwear, Uniqlo makes underwear for both men and women called Airism, and they're made from this super thin and light material. They dry really quickly and they're just really comfortable. So I have a week's worth of these as well. I keep my underwear in a little bag like this, and then I have another bag for dirty laundry just to keep things organized. Speaking of Uniqlo, I have one of their heat tech shirts. It's basically a long sleeve t-shirt, but it's made from a material that just keeps you really warm. I combine this with my sweater and my jacket, and when I'm somewhere cold, this is really nice to have. Then I've got 1 pair of jeans, 1 sweater, and 1 pair of shorts. And then in terms of t-shirts, I carry 4 or 5 t-shirts currently. Some of them are t-shirts, some of them are tank tops. And then I have 1 jacket. This is kind of a heavy windbreaker. It's pretty light, pretty thin, easy to carry, but it really protects against wind and rain, and it's kept me warm enough, especially if you combine it with layers. If you think this won't be enough for you, if you easily get cold, I would recommend taking a thin down jacket that you can store in a compression bag when you don't need it, and then additionally a thin and light rain jacket that you can wear when it rains. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, this doesn't nearly cover every climate, and you would be right, it doesn't. But it has covered almost every single climate in the past 8 months for me, and when it didn't, it was really easy to get something temporarily. So for example, in India, it was really important to have some light, long pants. So I just got some linen pants for a few dollars, wore them every day in India, and then gave them away at the end. Another example, in Nepal, we went trekking in the Himalayas. It got really cold at night in the mountains. So I just bought some long underwear, a warm fleece, some gloves, a hat for a few dollars in Kathmandu. It was really cheap. And then I was able to rent hiking boots, a really thick down jacket, a really warm sleeping bag that I all gave back at the end of the hike. As a general rule of thumb, if you really need something for a specific region, you will be able to get it there, and it'll probably be cheaper than at home. Now, I wash my clothes about once per week. A lot of hostels and Airbnbs offer washing machines, and that's always a nice bonus. But when there's no washing machine, I just wash my clothes in the sink. I carry some hand wash detergent. This is a German brand, but you can even just get some regular washing detergent. And then to hang my clothes, I have two clothing lines. This one is stretchy and it has these little loops that you can stick your clothes into. And then I have a longer one that isn't stretchy, but it's really long and thin. And what's nice is that I can combine these two. So if it's a really big room, sometimes it's easier to combine them, and then you can find hooks somewhere in the room to attach them to. And these are actually really useful, versatile tools. I've used them to keep doors closed that wouldn't otherwise stay shut, to attach the mosquito net when there wasn't a hook on the ceiling, to retrieve stuff that fell behind a closet. They're really useful to have for a variety of reasons. Now let's talk about some other gear. First of all, a sleeping bag liner. This is basically a very, very, very thin sleeping bag made from silk. And it's really useful because if you're not staying in fancy hotels every night, you will encounter some places that aren't as clean as you would like them to be. I've also used this on night buses, on night trains, even in the desert one night. It's really good to have a sleeping bag liner like this. Next up, a water bottle. I prefer this over a plastic bottle because even the highest quality plastic bottles start smelling after a while. It's really important to have a good water bottle. It's going to save a lot of plastic, and I just use this every day, all day long. A travel towel. A lot of hostels and Airbnb hosts aren't going to provide a towel for you. This is super light, super thin. It dries really quickly, and it's big enough that you can use it when you go to the beach. And then some of the smaller stuff. I like to organize stuff in these bags that I call nerd bags because a lot of nerds like to use them. In this one, I've got a sleeping mask and earplugs. Both are essential when you're traveling because you're going to take night buses, you're going to take night trains. I invested in a really nice sleeping mask that blocks out all the light, doesn't put any pressure on your eyes. It's really nice. And in terms of earplugs, I actually carry a whole bag of extra ones because I like to switch them out after a few uses. Sunglasses. I would invest in some UV protected and even polarized sunglasses because when you're traveling, you're often out all day. It just makes such a big difference when you're outside. A carabiner comes in handy, a Sharpie and a pen for the occasional postcard. And then I got a little lock in here. Some hostels require you to bring your own lock. This one's tiny. It's probably really easy to crack open, but it's worked for me so far. And I got this little elephant from someone in Sri Lanka. Toiletries. Obviously, your needs for toiletries will differ from mine. All I'm gonna say is that I really like this bag because you can hang it and you never have to look for a place to put down your toiletries when you're in a bathroom. Also, I really like these reusable bottles. I use them for shampoo, body wash, aftershave, and they basically make it so you never have to carry any big bottles. Especially if you're traveling with a partner, you can just buy some shampoo, split it between two of these bottles, and you never have to carry any big bottles. Also, I have got to mention this nail clipper. The Wirecutter calls this the best nail clipper in the world. And it's one of those things where you really don't know what you've been missing until you've tried it. It's just so much nicer. The cut is so much cleaner than the shitty ones that you've been using all your life. And it's also really light and small, so it's easy to take on a trip. Now, I prefer contact lenses over glasses. And if you do too, I would recommend bringing a few months worth of contacts on the trip, because these aren't really easy to get everywhere, especially if you prefer a specific brand. Contact lens solution you can get almost anywhere, so I just always carry one bottle and then get a new one a month later. Definitely bring some sunscreen. I keep the bigger bottles like this in one of those Ziploc bags just in case they ever leak. Okay, health. I invested in a very, very small mosquito net. I'll be honest with you, it's not very comfortable sleeping under this, especially if you're sharing the bed with someone. But the fact that it's so small and light makes that trade-off worth it for me. This is really easy to attach. All you need is some kind of hook on the ceiling. And like I said before, I've often used the clotheslines to kind of improvise. And this has really saved us from getting eaten alive many times. And then during the day, you definitely need some good mosquito spray. And these two things are really the exception to my rule that you can get everything you need locally, because you want mosquito spray that has at least 50% DEET in it. And this, as well as a small, good quality mosquito net, you can't always easily get everywhere. So bring some of this. Now, in terms of drugs, I'm carrying a relatively small first aid kit. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. You should definitely consult your doctor before you leave. And if you're venturing out far from civilization, you'll probably need more than this. That being said, what I carry is a anti-malaria emergency pill. It's basically something that you take if you get sick in a region that has a risk for malaria and you're not able to go to the hospital right away. Besides that, one of the most common problems that travelers have is stomach bugs and diarrhea. To prevent getting sick in the first place, I have discovered probiotics. Probiotics are basically good bacteria for your gut. And I didn't take these in the beginning. I got a lot of stomach bugs, and then I started taking probiotics every day, and all my stomach problems have disappeared. And then once you do get sick, what I recommend is getting charcoal tablets. These really help when it's just regular traveler's diarrhea. And then if it's some serious infection, it helps to have some emergency antibiotics with you in case you can't go to a doctor. Other than that, I just have some regular painkillers in here. And then in terms of the stomach, I discovered this tea. It's called Stomach Ease Tea. This is magic. Yogi Tea makes this. I carry a whole bunch of these with me because it really helps when you have stomach issues. Okay, documents. Obviously, you're going to need your passport. I recommend getting one that is twice as thick as the regular ones because a lot of countries actually fill up a whole page for their visa. Your driver's license in case you ever want to rent a vehicle, and also I got an international driver's license because some countries require you to have one of these in order to rent a car or legally drive. An international vaccination record. Make sure you get all the important vaccinations before you leave, and then you're going to need one of these because some countries will want to see, for example, proof of a yellow fever vaccination before they let you into their country. A printed copy of your health insurance. Definitely get travel health insurance. You'll want to be able to go to a hospital if you get sick. One of the really popular ones is World Nomads. What's great about them is that they let you extend your insurance or even get it while you're already traveling. I'll put a link to them in the description. Extra passport photos. A lot of countries require a passport photo when you apply for a visa. Also in some countries, when you get a local SIM card for your phone, you'll need to give them a passport photo. So I would just bring a bunch of printed passport photos with you and also keep a digital copy so you can just print more if you need them. A credit card. Forget about traveler's checks. No one uses that stuff anymore. What you need is a credit card that allows you to pay internationally and also withdraw internationally for free. There are a lot of different options out there. I will put what I'm using in the description in case you happen to be from Germany. And if you're from the US, I would try to get a credit card that has a lot of travel benefits. I'll put a guide to that in the description as well. And then some backup money. In 8 months, there hasn't been a single time when I wasn't able to withdraw money at an ATM, but it's really good to just have some backup money in case Both euros and US dollars are widely accepted internationally, and it's just good to have some cash in case. And now onto my favorite topic, tech. Actually, this video has been very long already, and I have a lot to say about the tech that you need on a world trip. So I'm going to talk about this next week. Until then, let me know if I'm missing anything. What are the things that you rely on most when you're traveling? Let me know in the comments. And also, I'm going to do a lot more travel-related videos. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. See you next week.